Anthropic, the multi-billion-dollar company that treats AI safety like a literal religion, just accidentally proved they can't even manage a basic toggle switch. Last week, the company that advocates for closed-source software for the benefit of humanity accidentally became more open than OpenAI. Twice in 7 days, they leaked their internal secrets. First, a library of private memos sitting on a public server. Then, the entire source code for their flagship coding tool shipped directly to NPM. It turns out, being safety first doesn't mean much when your build pipeline is a disaster. Today on Sunny on AI, we're looking at how the world's most cautious AI lab became the world's biggest source of open source slop. Late March, a config error on Anthropic's internal CMS left 3,000 private files, documents, memos, and model specifications wide open to the public internet. The highlight? Claude Mythos. Internally, they call it Capybara, a new tier sitting even higher than Opus. Anthropic's own internal audit described Mythos as a step change in autonomous capability, explicitly flagging it for unprecedented cybersecurity risks. The documents describe a model that doesn't just write code, it autonomously hunts for zero-day vulnerabilities and exploits them without a human in the loop. The documents show Anthropic was keeping it under a national security-style lockdown until someone forgot to flip a private-to-public switch on a website. When those 4 words, unprecedented cybersecurity risks, hit the public, the stock market had a literal panic attack, wiping billions off the valuation of cybersecurity firms like Zscaler and CrowdStrike in a single day. While the legal team was scrubbing those docs, the engineering team decided to hold their beer. On March 31st, version 2.1.88 of the Claude Code package was pushed to NPM. NPM is basically the App Store where developers download tools and libraries. A few sharp-eyed developers noticed the download had bloated to 59.8 megabytes, way too large for a command line tool. The culprit? A source map file. For the non-devs, a source map is the Rosetta Stone that maps ugly, minified production code back to the original human-readable TypeScript. Anthropic essentially handed the world a 513,000-line blueprint of their entire internal architecture. The leak happened because of bun.js, the JavaScript runtime they were using to build Claude Code. Bun generates source maps by default, and someone forgot to exclude them in the .npm ignore file. Think of it as the do not pack this list you attach when shipping software. It's a tragic bit of comedy. The fastest runtime in the world turned out to be the fastest way to ship your entire IP to your competitors. Naturally, the internet started huffing the lead source code like digital glue. They found that Claude Code isn't some futuristic alien tech. It's an 11-step dynamic prompt sandwich. 500,000 lines of hard-coded rules, nested if statements, and please be good instructions wrapped around a standard model. But while developers were reading the code, a real disaster was unfolding. The same morning, North Korean hackers, group UNC1069, compromised the Axios library on NPP. Axios is the HTTP library that almost every JavaScript project uses to talk to the internet. The hackers embedded a remote access Trojan, software that gives an attacker live keyboard and screen control of your machine that was active for 3 hours. Because Claude Code relies on standard dependencies, any developer who updated their environment to see the leak that morning was walking directly into a double exposure. The verdict, after a weekend of dissection? Claude Code is kind of mid. In a benchmark comparing 39 AI coding tools, Anthropic's official in-house assistant ranked 39th, dead last. Consistently beaten by third-party wrappers, apps built by tiny teams using the exact same Claude API. For a company whose CEO keeps telling us AI will replace software engineers in 6 months, their own AI coding tool can't even beat a community-made VS Code extension. The code also contained some poison pills, specifically a feature called Undercover Mode. According to the leaked source, when Anthropic employees, or Claude itself, contribute to public open source projects, This feature strips AI-related metadata and internal code names. It effectively launders the code so it looks like it was written by a human. Think about what that means. Every PR merge during this period had no disclosure it came from an AI company building a competing tool. Maintainers had no way to audit it, no way to reject it. They just accepted it. This is a massive betrayal of trust for a company that lobbies for AI watermarking. They want you to label your AI content, but they built a ninja mode so they can hide in the shadows of public repos. When the leak went public, Anthropic's response was to issue DMCA takedown notices to scrub the code from the internet. The problem? It had already been mirrored across 84,000 GitHub stars. And buried in the same codebase, a CVE, a path traversal flaw. In plain English, an attacker could ask Claude Code to read any file on your machine, not just its own data. Passwords, sesh keys, private documents, all reachable. An autonomous AI tool sitting on developer laptops with an unpatched local file read. And then there's the frustration detector. Instead of a complex model, they used a regex, a simple list of swear words like W and dumb. If you curse at the machine, it logs a frustration event. This is the same company claiming their next model can autonomously exploit 0 days. And for detecting human emotion, they reached for a pattern matching tool from the 1970s. It's not super intelligence, it's just a digital swear jar. The takeaway? This leak is a massive reminder that your top secret IP is always just one NPM publish away from becoming public domain. But here's the darker read. Some people think none of this was accidental. The back-to-back leaks generated more hype for Mythos and Claude Code than any ad campaign could have bought. When the heat came, Anthropic issued DMCA notices to scrub a leak they caused, from code that was already mirrored across 84,000 stars. Accident or not, the result is the same. A model that can autonomously hack infrastructure is now public knowledge. A CVE in a tool sitting on millions of developer laptops went unpatched, and Undercover Mode quietly laundered AI contributions into every open source project that accepted a PR. The safety-first company had one of the worst operational security weeks in recent memory. Do you think Anthropic should open source Mythos, or is that too dangerous? Drop your take below. If you found this useful, drop a like and subscribe to our channel. Till then, take care. I will see you next week.